This is crazy to think about. The 1849 California gold rush generated roughly $2 billion in today's money over 6 years, but the AI market is projected to hit $1.8 trillion by 2030. That's 200 times bigger. But here's what makes this completely different from 1849. Back then, you had to physically pack up your entire life, leave your job, your home, and travel thousands of miles to California and hope that you'd strike it lucky. Most people couldn't even participate on top of that. And if you look at today, you can sit exactly where you are, open your laptop, and start tapping into one of the biggest economic shifts in history. The barrier to entry has never been lower, yet the potential upside has never been higher. And while billion-dollar companies are pumping money into AI like it's going out of fashion, Google just announced another $100,000 billion investment, and Microsoft is throwing money around like it's confetti. What are most people actually doing with AI right now? They're using it to write grocery lists, to ask what they're gonna have for dinner, to write birthday messages. While you're using AI to plan your next getaway, there are people building businesses that generate more in a month than most people make in a year. So today, I'm gonna show you the 5 cardinal rules that you need to follow if you're actually looking to get rich during this AI gold rush. These are the exact rules that separate the people building generational wealth from everyone else who's still treating AI like some fancy buzzword. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you miss this window, you will spend the next decade watching other people live the life that you could have had. And they're going to live rent free in your head the same way the crypto people who invested in 2013, 2014 have it great right now. You may have missed the boat on that, but please do not miss the boat on this. Cardinal rule number 1 is to understand the game you're actually in. Here's what most people get wrong. They think AI is the business model. They think that the game is about becoming an AI expert or selling AI services. That's not the game that we're in at all. Let's look at the internet boom in the 1990s. Who actually got rich? Not the network engineers who understood TCP or IP protocols, right? I'm sure you don't even know what I'm referring to because it's so complicated. The people who got rich understood that the internet wasn't the business model, it was the infrastructure. And here's what I mean by that. If you take the base internet, you can't really make money on it. It's kind of like having a piece of land, but not doing anything with it. But if you take the piece of land and you build a mall or an apartment block on it, then you can actually rent it out, and that's where you start making money. Let me give you another example. Amazon. Amazon didn't get rich by being on the internet. They got rich by using the internet to sell books, then everything else followed suit. Google didn't get rich by teaching people how the web works. They got rich by organizing information and making it searchable, packaging it into one central place to make it easier and faster for people to find the answers. The internet was the infrastructure that enabled entirely new ways of doing business. AI is exactly the same thing, right? AI is not the business model. AI is the infrastructure. The internet was the infrastructure that enabled entirely new ways of doing business. AI is exactly the same thing. AI is not the business model. AI is the infrastructure. It is the foundation that's going to enable entirely new ways of making money. Let me give you a concrete example. Think about a freelance graphic designer. Nothing is revolutionary here. People have been doing graphic design for decades. But here's what's different now. Where it used to take a designer 8 hours to create a complete brand identity, logo, business cards, letterheads, social media templates, AI has now compressed that timeline into 2 hours. It generates dozens of logos in minutes. AI creates the color palettes, the font combination. AI even produces all the different file formats and variations. The designer isn't selling AI to their clients. They're not even mentioning it. But AI is the infrastructure that lets them deliver the same quality work in a quarter of the time, which means they can actually take on 4 times as many clients. This is the game you're actually in, my friends. You are not in the game of becoming an AI engineer. You're not in the game of selling AI services. You're using AI as an infrastructure to solve existing problems that causes people and businesses pain. That's what you're actually doing here, not the gimmicky AI trick. Your customers don't want AI. They actually don't care. They want solutions to their problems. They want results. They want their lives to be better, easier, and more successful. AI is the invisible infrastructure that helps you deliver those solutions faster, better, and cheaper than anyone who's trying to do it the old way. Once you understand this, once you actually really get that AI is just the infrastructure, not the end product, everything changes. You start asking better questions and the right questions. And that's when things really get interesting. Because when you start thinking this way, you realize that AI doesn't just level the playing field, it completely flips it upside down. All of those advantages that established businesses had, the team of designers, the copywriters, the researchers, the analysts, well, for the time they solved existing problems and provided services that businesses need. But for today, AI can actually do all of that. And in most cases, better than humans can, which means for the first time in history, a single person with the right understanding can compete with companies that have hundreds of employees and millions in resources, but only if you understand the game that you're actually in. And that, my friend, brings me to cardinal rule number two. Let go of the it has to be hard mindset. Most people never question how they think success is supposed to look. They assume it's supposed to be painful, complicated, and slow. And I want you to think about it. When someone tells you they built a successful business, what's the first thing you expect them to say, right? Something along the lines of a movie. I worked 18 hours per day for 3 hours. I slept on my office floor. I sacrificed everything. We've been conditioned to believe that struggle equals success, that if you didn't bleed for it, you didn't earn it. And yes, I want to be completely clear. To some extent, that is true. Nothing in life is easy. I want to make sure that is super clear. But there's a massive difference between something being difficult and something being accessible. The difficulty hasn't disappeared, it's just been transformed to the tools. Imagine you need to cut down a tree. You can spend all day hacking at it with a stone, sweating and struggling and barely making a dent. Or you can grab a chainsaw and have it done within 10 minutes. Which approach actually gets the results you want? Which approach makes the most sense? You just need to work smarter rather than working harder. Smart means using the best tools available. Smart means leveraging technology instead of fighting against it. Smart means working with AI, not trying to compete with it. Because in this new era, effort isn't what gets you rewarded. Leverage is. And I forgot who said this quote. And if I butcher this quote, I apologize. But it goes something along the lines of, if you give me a place to stand and a lever long enough, I can move the world. Essentially, what he's trying to say is that with the right positioning and the right tools, you can do anything. Today, no one cares how many hours you put in. Seriously, no one is keeping track of your effort. No one is rewarding you points for suffering. They care about what you can produce and how quickly you can produce it. Can you solve their problem? Can you deliver value? Can you do it better than the competition? That's all that matters, my friends. AI has rewritten the rules of how we work and, more importantly, how we win. The people who get ahead now are the ones who are willing to break up with their old beliefs. They've stopped wearing struggle like a badge of honor and started focusing on what actually creates value. And it has to be fast, and in today's world, speed wins. The company that can deliver results faster gets the customers. The entrepreneurs who can adapt quickly dominate the market. That's what AI unlocks. It allows you to skip the busy work and build something that actually works. What used to take weeks and months can now be done in the space of a few hours. Writing sales copy used to require getting a degree in psychology and marketing and spending years doing that. And now AI could write better copy than most humans can in the space of 10 minutes. Market research used to take weeks of manual review. Now AI can synthesize thousands of data points instantly. Content creation used to be a full-time job. Now AI could produce more content in a day than most people can create in a month. The old rule said that if it's simple, it's probably not worth much. But in this new market, things are flipped completely around. If it's not simple, you're probably doing it wrong. I want you to think about every major breakthrough in history. The printing press made information more accessible to more people. The assembly line did the same thing when it came to manufacturing for business, right? The internet made communication more accessible by linking you to almost everyone on the planet. Did these innovations create less value because they made things more accessible? No, they created more value precisely because they removed the barriers. AI is the same thing. It's not making your work less valuable, it's making your value creation more accessible. And that mindset shift is everything because once you let go of the idea that success has to be painful, you finally become open to the tools that make it effortless. Once you stop believing that struggle equals worth, you can start focusing on what actually matters, and that is results, my friend. The people who are winning right now aren't necessarily grinding harder than you, they're leveraging smarter. They're using AI to do 1 hour what it used to take 10 hours because guess what? They understand that the goal isn't to work hard, the goal is to simply win. And that brings us to exactly to cardinal rule number 3. Use specialized tools, not generalized tools. Let's say you've been presented with this beautiful, well seasoned steak right in front of you, and you need to cut into it. Now, instead of being given a chef's knife, you've been given a butter knife, right? Well, we've all been there. Now, of course, you can still go ahead and cut through the steak, but it's going to be an absolute disaster, hassle, and a struggle. It's slow and it's going to start to get messy. You're sawing back and forth, trying to make it work, but it's not doing what you need. You're going to get it done, but guess what? It's not going to be easy. Now, with that same steak, if you went ahead and used the chef's knife, you'll do it with one clean slice through. You won't be struggling. There's no wasted motion. It's faster, it's cleaner, it's sharper, and it's built for the job. And while both of them are technically knives, only one was designed to deliver the result that you wanted. And for that reason, you need to choose the right tool, not just any tool. You see, most people use AI like it's all the same. They open a general chatbot, they ask it to build a funnel or write a sales page and launch a product. Then they also use that same tool to write a birthday message. And then they get confused when the results feel off. It's not that the AI didn't work, it's just that you've used the wrong tool. General AI tools are great if you're trying to organize your thoughts and clean up a work email, but they're not going to get the results that you actually need when you need something done specific. And that's what specialized tools are for. Tools built exactly for a particular outcome. Specialized tools give you leverage, the kind of leverage that used to be locked behind expensive experts, right? Long timelines, teams of people, and skills that would take you years to develop. They eliminate the learning curve entirely and put professional grade results directly in your hands. I mean, look at what's happening right now. Tools like Gamma AI have been absolutely exploding in popularity, and that's for a reason. People are finally realizing they need specialized tools made specifically to achieve one clear outcome. You can spend hours fighting with a generalized tool trying to get it to understand slide layouts, design principles, and presentation flow, or you can just go use Gamma, which was built specifically for creating slide decks and presentations that actually look professional. This is why these tools have blown up. They don't try to do everything, they do one thing exceptionally well. And this is what happens when you choose the right tool. These tools don't just save time, they eliminate guesswork. They remove the need to become an expert in every field. They give you execution without friction. And that is where most people get stuck. They try building something particularly using tools that were never meant for that specific purpose. And look, it's not your fault, to be honest. This is a completely new industry. No one taught us which tools to use for what and how to actually use them properly. But the good news is once you know the difference, everything changes. You stop wasting time fighting with the wrong tools. You stop settling for mediocre results. You start getting the kind of output that makes people ask, how did you actually do that? Because you're finally using tools that were built to deliver exactly what you need. So now you've seen the difference. You've seen what happens when you use tools built for a clear purpose and how much faster and easier and more effective everything becomes. But here's the thing, having the tool isn't the same thing as using it properly. Imagine buying a car, parking it in your garage, and then never driving it. The tool only matters if you're actually applying it. And that is where most people get stuck. And this is what brings us to cardinal rule number 4. Move while the window is still open. Every major opportunity feels obvious when it's gone. People look back at recent opportunities like dropshipping or even Bitcoin and they tell themselves, but what if what they're really saying is they would have moved faster if they realized how rare the timing was? When you actually look a little closer, it becomes obvious why dropshipping didn't look like a gold mine at the start. Most people didn't trust buying things online. You had to convince people to enter their credit card details on the website. People were skeptical about shipping times and return policies, but the people who actually took the leap, even when it felt unproven at the time, were the ones who made the most money. When you actually look a little closer, it becomes obvious why dropshipping didn't look like a gold mine at the start. Most people didn't trust buying things online. You actually had to convince people to enter their credit card details on a website because people were skeptical about shipping times and security and privacy and return policies. But the people who took the leap, even when it looked unproven at the time, were the ones who made the most money. Now, starting a drop shipping business is still possible, not to say it's not possible, but it is a lot harder than it was back in 2015. The competition has increased. You needed a significant amount of money to test products, and costs have actually gone through the roof. And you're competing against established brands with massive budgets. Bitcoin was similar. Back in 2010, 2011, people were buying it for $1, not because they were geniuses, because they saw the potential when everyone else thought it was just the internet money for tech nerds. Those early people didn't need massive money or technical knowledge. They just needed to recognize the opportunity and act. Now, Bitcoin, it still has potential, but the barrier to entry for life-changing returns is so much higher. You need substantial money to make meaningful gains. But all of this to say that the most powerful business models of their time always starts with friction. And that is what makes this AI opportunity so different from all the rest. Not only is there a window to get in before the masses, but for the first time, there are no real barriers to entry. It is a temporary window and it is wide open. The tools are already here. They are faster, cheaper, and more capable than anything we've ever had before. But the market hasn't caught up yet. Most people are still stuck in experimentation mode, are being afraid, treating AI like a toy instead of the most powerful infrastructure shift since the internet, which means even if you're not experienced, even if you're not technical, even if you're starting from scratch, you can still win if you're serious. But you got to start. This is the thing about every major wealth shift in the last 2 decades, whether it's drop shipping, whether it's Bitcoin, or any other major opportunity. It was never about being first. It was always about being early enough to be and make sure it mattered. And by the way, early doesn't mean perfect. It means you moved before everyone else figured out the full potential. We are at an inflection point right now. One of those rare windows where the people who move early are the ones who benefit the most. Once everyone catches up, once AI becomes mainstream, your advantage disappears because when everyone's using the same tools in the same way, the edge won't come from the tool anymore. You won't be able to create a product 10 times your income in half the time because everyone else is going to be doing the same thing. And this is why right now matters. There is a gap in the market, a temporary one. And it's closing faster because each week more people enter the space, more players figure it out, and more people are taking advantage. And guess what? It gets diluted. So the real question is, are you going to move while the window is still open? And that, my friends, brings us to cardinal rule number 5. Stop trading time and start building some products. So let's say you totally get everything that I'm saying. You're not going to wait. You understand that the window is here and you're ready to move. Well, what is your next step? You must be thinking, okay, I don't understand this stuff. Which direction do I go in? I don't know how AI is supposed to help me. And that is completely fair. Let me break it down very simply. Imagine owning a bakery and you've made this award winning loaf of bread that everyone loves. Every time someone places an order, you've got to go back to the kitchen, bake it, slice it, pack it, and hand it over. Sure, it's great that people want what you've made, but scaling that, it's chaotic. You would have to hire more staff, buy more ovens, set up logistics. Your business gets more complex every sale. You end up being so tied to the actual business that you can't even enjoy the success that you've made. Well, my question to you is, what if you could take that same award-winning loaf, the recipe, the techniques, everything, and turn it into a masterclass? Something that people could buy to get the same results without needing you every single time. Suddenly, your hands aren't the bottleneck anymore. You don't need a bigger kitchen. You don't even need to work weekends because the product runs on itself. It delivers the same value over and over and over again without you needing to lift a finger, which goes against what worked for the last decade, which was running a service, freelancing, agencies, you name it. Services were the name of the game and it worked. Even if you had no brand, no capital, no experience, you could go out, get a client, and start making money by solving problems for them. But just like with our bakery, you were trading time for money. Every new client meant more calls, more revisions, and more back and forth. And you had to be there, you had to manage it, you had to do the work, and there's only so much of you that could go around. To get the best of both worlds, to get money in your pocket, and to get your time back, Digital Products 2.0 are the way to go because when you combine digital products with AI, which is why this new version is 2.0 version, you unlock leverage on a completely different level. AI helps you build a product faster, it helps you deliver it, update it, and scale it. This is the move right now. If you stay in services forever, you will always be limited by your capacity. If you build the right product, you could scale infinite, right? Without hiring, without burning out, without having to be there. So if you're serious about building wealth in the AI era, this is your next revolution. Stop trading time and start building digital products. Now, at this point in the video, you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds good, but how do I actually do this? What does this look like in practice? And that's honestly a fair question because knowing the framework is one thing, but seeing it in action is what makes it super real. So here's what I'm gonna do. In my next video, I'm going to pull back the curtain completely. I'm going to share my screen and create a digital product with you live from start to finish. No editing, no shortcuts, just the raw process of taking an idea and turning it into something you can sell. We're going to go from zero to a complete product using AI, and I'm going to walk you through every single step, what tools I'm using, why I'm using them, how I'm thinking about everything, because it's one thing to tell you that this works, but it's another entirely different thing to watch it happen right in front of you. So make sure that you're subscribed because that video is coming next. And trust me, once you see how simple this actually is, there's no going back. But here's what I need you to understand right now. It's not about knowing what AI could do anymore. It's about deciding what you're going to do with it. Because the people who win in moments like this aren't the ones waiting around for the perfect plan. They are the ones who start building while everyone else is still asking and looking for directions. Imperfect action beats perfect in action every single time. This has always been the pattern. Back in 1849, you had to be willing to relocate. You had to leave your job, your home, your comfort zone. You had to take a chance on something that might not even work. And for most people, that meant sitting it out altogether. It's the same thing today. Most people will sit this one out. They'll stay stuck in the same loop, treating AI like some sort of a random thing, convincing themselves that they're still early. But it comes down to a decision. You either act while the window is open or you wait until the opportunities have been picked clean. And the window, my friends, we're in right now, it won't last. This is your chance to build something that doesn't just make money, but builds leverage, something that compounds, something that works while you sleep. And no, you don't need to relocate. You don't even need to get anybody's permission. You don't need to chase rumors and hope. All you need to do is make the decision to move now. And with that being said, as always, I'm watching from afar and I'm rooting for you. Stay blessed.